Yo, brother, yo, what's up, bro? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I heard that. You hear me? No? All right, we got some more people coming in.
Oh, there we
Ah,
go. There we go.
cool. So, what's up? So, first of all, welcome. Um, I'm gonna send some. What's up, Ben?
How you doing?
So I'm gonna send some source sheets. But first, I wanted to uh, to ask to say hi, first of all, to welcome. How do you pronounce your name?
Vesuvius, or just V for short.
Vesuvius. I like Vesuvius, yo. How'd you get a name like that?
God granted it to me during a spiritual experience, actually. Long story, but it was very profound for me.
Amazing,
Nice.
yo. Yeah,
Hey,
can't wait to hear that. Yeah, this is Ben Fryer. You did this last week. We got my pops also coming in from New York.
cool, cool.
Um, all right. This is we've spoken a little bit on your show. Yeah. So
Yeah.
then, like, let's tell them like how we became friends, like how we like met each other, like randomly. I don't know, randomly. Like I read your book or something, or I found your website or something, and then like we like reached out, and then like I joined you on your live cast
Yeah.
2 times, and yeah, he's a special person, and we're glad to have him. He's got a lot of wisdom that he could add to the what we call a sugya, right? Now, the sugya is like the topic at hand. We came to this. We started. This began and it still is a class where we learn Talmud, and we are trying to understand like what the Talmud said, and but through understanding some of the things that the Talmud said, we started like questioning like what's going on in the world, with
Yeah.
regards to, here, well, let's see the source. I'm gonna send the source. Okay, this is a Gemara. We send it in Hebrew and in English. Check this out. All right. Copy. I have source sheets also, but I like to be able to. Who is Michael? Yo, we got some other guy, Michael. I don't always. All right, we're stacking here. We're chilling. All right. So how do I send? Let's see. All right. Chat. All right. So if you see what I just sent in the chat, right? It's a Talmud in Sanhedrin on the page 98.9 folio A, right? And so the Gemara says that they bring two opinions. There's Rabbi Yochanan, right? You see the sources? You guys see that? I sent it on like on the thing. So we have a guy who I don't know. Last week we let some. we'll give him favor of the doubt, and we'll say like, "Yo, welcome, Michael." Okay. Last week we had some hooligans, but it's all right. Everyone gets a chance. All right. Rabbi Chia bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan teaches that all of the prophecies and all of the things that the prophets were talking about was talking about the days of Messiah. And in the world to come, which is a different thing, it's completely different. Right? He says, I usually read it in Hebrew, but he says, Kol Nevi'im kulam lo nisnabu elo limos HaMashiach. Right? Aval olam haba ayin lo rasa. It's like unforeseen. Even the prophets hadn't seen what that was. But then we have that he's arguing on Shmuel, right? He disagrees with the opinion of Shmuel, right? Upliga de Shmuel. Shmuel says that there's no difference between this world and the world of Messiah, the days of Messiah. He calls them the days. He doesn't refer to them as the coming of a Messiah. He says the days of Messiah, and the only difference is this idea, shiabud malchuyos bilvad. That the difference is this idea of governmental, or shiabud malchuyos means government oppression or government control. And so government control. Wait, I just said to my other friend, right, we're staggering. That's what I say sometimes. Like I say, like staggering. Staggering means to grow. Like we're growing, climbing, and so like I say, like I'm really like thing that I don't know. Like it's like listen, like I staggering here, you know. So, anyways, and also staggering means to learn in Yiddish. Anyways, the only difference between and he calls it the days of Messiah. And so I thought it was interesting that he calls it the days of Messiah. But let's see if you guys have any thoughts about those about like any of the points we talked about. Like, should I just say? Does someone want to say PASHUT? Say like interpretation.
I'm formulating for a second. Let me think.
Go for it, bro.
Now, are the days of the Messiah talking about a specific Messiah, or is this also symbolic of the Christ-like consciousness that the developing of the collective consciousness is meant to get to? You know, because we're all working on developing our consciousness to, you know, the salvation, the grace of, you know, with the divine, with God. This is when you study soteriology.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. So I'm just trying to, you know, connect dots. It's a possibility, just throwing it out there.
Yo, so I actually hear what you're saying, and you're saying that it's an idea of consciousness, an elevation of consciousness.
Correct.
And like that is what like the Messiah situation is. Yeah. So I thought it was very important that it said the days of Messiah. We're not talking about a specific person. The Gemara, the Talmud is talking about a process, right? Emos HaMashiach. It's the days of the Messiah, right? And it's like a process that throughout, and we've seen in this class throughout like the times, because you're saying you're talking about a specific Messiah, right? Throughout this class, and like I can show you more sources. I wasn't sure how to make the source sheet today because, listen, I hope everyone, by the way, more important than all of the stuff that we're going to learn today, is that I hope that everyone's chilling. I hope that everyone's happy. I hope that everyone is like growing from this. That's like the first thing that we always gotta remember, that we're steiging here. So the different messiahs, right? We've seen this first. So we saw this idea of, so if we'll go like this, we have these two opinions of what the days of Messiah are going to look like, right? And we're calling them the days of Messiah, this process. We have two ideas of how this could look. Either it could with, right, how they could be crazy, like all of the prophecies and the you know, coming back to life, what's the word, resurrection, and all that stuff. That could be like in the days of Messiah, or and all the crazy things they're talking about in the prophecies, right? All of the amazing things that the prophet spoke about, are they going to come in the days of Messiah? According to Rabbi Yochanan, who actually was from Israel, second generation Amira, or first generation Amira, sorry, in Eretz Yisrael, still in Israel, Catholic status, or Shmuel, who is actually in Babylon, and he says, no, the difference is only going to be this idea of shiabud malchuyos. And I sent it to you guys in English, because we're steiging here, and we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out like how to teach. We're all growing, you know? Ooh. Right? Okay, so what does it say here? It says, the servitude to foreign kingdoms. So this is what I don't like. This is why I prefer to see it in the original Hebrew. Because servitude to foreign kingdoms, that's true. That's how Maimonides understood. We can see Maimonides, in a second. I'll like send it. I'll send the source sheets in Shuva, the worlds to come. It's somewhere on this source sheet. Here's a lot of sources, by the way, that you guys could look at and like be like, oh yeah, that's cool. You can see them in Hebrew and in English. I think this one's also in English. And so in the Rambam in Hilchos Tshuva, he says that the reason they wanted it was for the Messiah. And we saw different messiahs throughout the shir. We saw that that Yoshiyahu was identified as Messiah. We saw in the Rambam. You see that the Rambam brings both of these things. Do you see the source? Yeah. Let me send it. Let me send it to you guys. It's Repentance 9:2, right? And he says that they said that they will in Yemos HaMashiach, he explains what they are. They say Kadesh Yanuchu Malchuyos, right? And they'll have time, and they'll get to Chayil Hazan. And he says, Maimonides, he talks about, he brings both of these opinions, you know. In the book, you ever hear of Maimonides? Have you guys, you know, Vesuvius, you know Maimonides?
No.
Maimonides was a Jewish scholar who lived in the medieval times, and he spoke about everything in the Gemara. He brought it down. So Maimonides says that he brings both of these opinions, and so we actually see from here an idea of two messiahs. That there's a Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. There's a Messiah from the house of Joseph and the Messiah from the house of David, right? That's what someone suggested. So we started talking about that a little bit in class, in the shir, and then we're talking about a lot of things, the kids, but we were analyzing this Gemara over here, right? So I'm a little bit, you know, I'm chilling, like I'm a little bit high. So Upliga de Shmuel. So we have these two opinions. And so you were saying that the shiabud malchuyos, we saw the translation, my train of thought, but I got this. We saw the translation is that the difference between this world and Messianic era is that the service to foreign kingdoms alone. That's how the Rambam, the Maimonides, that's how he understood it 1,000 years ago. Now, that was an understanding of the text for that time, that for the time, that time that the Jews were living, the Israelites were living under like a foreign rule. now like that they have the state of Israel, they're a little bit more autonomous as far as any country can really be called autonomous, any leaders. But either way, we are like that part has like been sort of resolved, and now we get to go further and understand those words and get and have an evolved understanding of like what's the next step. And the next step is not that there's not gonna be like nations and look at it like there's Jews and then there's non-Jews, right? The way that like I wanted to suggest that we were looking at it is that the shiabud malchuyos is this shadow government that is controlling what is going on, and we saw some sources for that. Correct? Yeah. So that's what we wanted to say. The shiabud malchuyos, and it's I want to hear what you think about this idea. I was gonna tell you how we got to it, but that will come out.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you think is going on. We know that you have a say, and we wanted to hear your 2 cents.
Yeah. So let me look at the text here. Let's see. Let's see. So my perspective is that, like you were saying, there's currently a shadow government, groups who are in secret societies. They're running the system, essentially, the global system, and they use a lot of different methods to infect societies, and they pit them against each other, create bread and circus to distract them, all that stuff. The coming time when beings stop worshiping foreign nations, so once they start worshiping, the kingdom of heaven, that's when the beings have started to awaken their consciousness, and that's how they're, connecting with spirit, with the divine, with God. Those who are at the top, and this is from all the research I've done over my entire life, I believe it is the Jesuit order. So it's a society for Jesus, but they're anything but for Jesus. But these are the people, when you start looking up and doing your research into like the different conspiracies, and you'll hear, terms Illuminati, NWO,
so we've
all
heard
those different
terms.
Yeah, all those different groups, the people who are actually at the top, who've absorbed all these groups, is the Jesuit order. And so those are the beings who, they've got the power, and they've influenced, they even have the Vatican under complete control now. So they're completely widespread and have developed global society to a state where people have lost their spark, their awareness of spirit, and their power of perception. And the power of perception is understanding how you are a co-creator, which God wants you to be, so that you can take control of existence and breathe beauty into it, and respect all of life. All that's taken away, stripped down. Everything's very, for lack of a better word, like retarded, as in not understanding things. It's it's very menial. And so, at least from reading that passage, I believe that, at least in one sense, what it's relating to is when the people stop worshiping foreign nations, and get back to this and start seeing and understanding the corruption that's here, in relationship also to their own spirituality and awakening. So it's two sides of the same coin. It's just one's of the world and one's of spirit and awareness.
Yeah. And so I was thinking, I love that you connected that to consciousness. I was thinking that like the shiabud malchuyos, this consciousness, because we spoke about how this government, or this shadowy organization, is controlling what we're consuming. They're censoring YouTube, and they're like a lot of like the ideas that come across in popular culture. They're about what people speak about. They cycle the news cycle and what people care about. That's the shiabud malchuyos. And the way to, and so one of the ways that they're doing, especially nowadays with this whole, with whatever's going on, that they have the whole world like scared, and they have like people like afraid of death, but they have people like just depressed because of everything they're doing. And people are dealing with a lot of stuff. The way to to stop the shiabud malchuyos and to resist this force, the shadowy force, which you start naming them, and people, right? But people like take a step back. So we have to be careful. We're talking about this. We got to base everything that we're saying. I'm going to bring some more sources. Yeah. So we have that. So I believe that an elevation of consciousness is the exact same thing as an ending of this shiabud malchuyos. That coming, and that's incredible. That's what the Talmud says, because there's another source that I'll just bring. Forget about the link that I sent, because like that just is like a lot of. I hope that this goes through right now. Okay, so this is a Talmud in Brachos 10 folio A. Did everybody see that, by the way? By the way, Michael.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ben, Dad, Harry, everyone's chilling. Everyone's snagging here. I like your background, Daddy. All right, awesome. So the Gemara said, so this, by the way, this is incredible. And Percival, what's the name? Vesuvius.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get the explanation at the right time. Okay, I think that's cool. It's an awesome name. All right. So the Talmud in Brachos, right, which is blessings, it says, Lama nismecha parshas Avshalom leparshas Gog uMagog. Why was the story of Absalom juxtaposed to the story of Gog and Magog, right? And now I don't know actually. Like, we'll learn the Gemara, but I wanted to say that sometimes we have my friend, he's half Egyptian, half Palestinian, lives in Ottawa. Sometimes he comes through. His name is he calls himself the Edestrian, and his name is Hossam Zaki, right? So anyway, so he comes, and we're talking about this idea of Gog uMagog, this war, and he was like, "Yo, this idea also exists in Islam," and I was like, "Wow, that's like pretty amazing." Like we're, we have the same idea, and I was wondering if there's like an idea about this in Christianity. I don't know if you're Christian or like, I don't define it, right? But
I'm an omnist.
Oh, what, an omnist?
Yeah.
I love it. But you seem to know a little bit about Christianity. So do you know? Would you happen to know if this idea of Gog uMagog has seeped into your zeitgeist? Like, did you ever hear of that idea?
If I have, I don't know enough details to speak about it. I mean, I've studied the eschatology of, the end times of various cultures, but not like a specific, war, so to speak.
Okay. So let's open up, like, if someone else, one of the you want to tell us about Gog uMagog, or if they want to, let's first see the Gemara. Well, what we know, we spoke about it last week. Should I just say it, or does someone want to step in and share some wisdom with us? Michael, Harry, Ben.
I'm excited to hear your take on this, bro.
To hear my take?
Yeah, this is like I've been waiting for the episode.
Yeah.
You got all the wisdom.
All right, cool. Abba, Dad. I'll say my take, but I didn't say my dad's name before. Then I was like, oh man. Dad, do you wanna tell us Pshat, or you're good just listening on the moon? Awesome. Okay, so why did they have this juxtaposition of Absalom, the story of Absalom, which we know Absalom was the son of David who rebelled against him? Why is that next to this idea of this war, Gog uMagog, this war that's going to be in the end of days? Now we'll see some sources for that as well. We saw last week. We were analyzing it. What was it like?
So the main question is, why are we putting the sugya of Avshalom next to the sugya of end of days?
Yes, thank you. She'im yomar lecha adam, because if a person tells you, klum yesh eved shemored berabo, is there really such an idea of a slave that rebels against his master? Apata omer lo, even you say to him, klum yesh ben shemored be'aviv. Well, do you ever hear of such a thing of a son who rebels against his father? And he say, Elahava, no, it happened with Absalom and David. Achinami hava, here too it happened. So what we see here is that the idea of this war that is this supposed to be, and V mentioned like eschatology, which means he knows a little bit about this, like he knows where we're going with this war. Because eschatology is the study of the end of days, and so he studied it from various religions, and like we're so happy. We love to hear like what other people think about this. But what is the idea? What is the idea? Is that according to this Talmud, this piece of Talmud, it's a slave that rebels against his master, and I'm thinking that that's exactly what is going on right now. That we have because we have one slave, and that's us, the slave and the master. So who is Gog? If Gog, right? If Gog is this idea of this government, of the shadow government, that we're saying the shiabud malchuyos. If the shiabud malchuyos is Gog, then that means the government to a certain extent. I still don't know exactly like how true it is what's going on, but let's say you have the government and that, right, and where everyone stands. I'm not saying anyone in specific. We're just seeing from what we see over here. We have they have the government and the news, the media, and Hollywood, and that trickles down to the late night hosts, and they're saying this, and people are like tweeting about it, and in Entertainment Weekly or whatever, and they're swaying public opinion as me and V and all of us have been building this sugya together for weeks, almost months now, and we've been thinking that if that's the idea of this shiabud malchuyos, that it's a spiritual and it's a intellectual and it's a cognitive shiabud, an attack on our SUPERCHILL. They're trying. It's a psychological tactic called divide and conquer, a psychological operation, as my friend V enlightened me to that term back in the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So yes, psyops. That's
psyops,
that's what they're referred to.
If that shiabud malchuyos, that psyops is Gog, and that's Hollywood and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, the people who are not letting us on, and maybe the WHO, maybe Bill Gates, who seems to be everywhere. If that's Gog, or maybe Google, Gog is Google, Gog. If that's Gog, I have a tradition from the greatest Kabbalist that I've ever learned with. The greatest Kabbalist, one of the greatest Kabbalists alive today, Rav Mordechai Brownstein, Shlita of Brooklyn. I have a Masorah that Gog is an entity, and then Magog means in Hebrew and also in Arabic, if you look at the mem or the mam, that's from Gog. We would be the ones that are shaped by this government, shaped by this entity. I don't want to call them a government. Once you get saying government, people are very touchy. But this entity, which is controlling everything that's going on, this shadow government, which we say, if that's Gog, if that's Google, so then we would be Magog. And then the idea would be, Eved Shemored Birabo, is the idea would be us rebelling against them. And we know that in Islam, we have this idea of Jauj Umajauj, right? Jauj wa Majauj. Kharab. Kharab means war in Arabic. Kharab Jauj wa Majauj. So we would have this war, but wait a second, this idea also is in Islam. Because of course, like it is in Islam. There are brothers, there are cousins, right? Like, of course, they're together with us. Oh, but like historically, there's been a lot of fighting between religions. That's also them trying to sow dissonance, trying to keep us apart, keep apart. Oh, so they do it with religion, and then when, right, they keep apart the Jews and the Christians, and there's always a fight, keeping the people fighting because of religion. The second that stops, we have the French Revolution, and now we have other things that they could pit us apart. We have the left and the right politically, and then we have racism, which is the biggest issue that they keep on talking about and keep on pushing. That like this, we're not racist. We know that we're all just an expression of infinite wisdom, having a different expression, you know, in the world, no matter what skin color, no matter what gender, whatever, right? But this narrative is being pushed. That's what they're trying to. And if that's the shiabud malchuyos, and we're Gog uMagog, and we're the ones that are fighting back, that are going to have to fight back. So then, what is the resistance? What do you think, V?
Yeah. So the resistance is, so it's the phenomenon known as the Great Awakening, and that's the global collective starting to understand their spirituality and their awareness of awareness. You know, their cognitive capacities of perception. The Great Awakening happens naturally over time because there's different periods of spirituality. If you study Hinduism and the yugas, it's a cyclic wheel, and right now we are in the Kali Yuga, and it's basically the darkest times of spirituality where most human beings, you know, don't really understand what spirituality actually is. And all this end of time stuff, it's talking about coming out of this dark period of this. There's going to be a huge transition in Hinduism. It says we're going to the Dwapara Yuga, which is just the ascending. It's the next natural process of our psycho-spiritual evolution. So the Great Awakening is rebelling against all this tyranny, and it's also paralleled as a slave rebelling against his master. That's also your natural state of being. You are rebelling against the ego, who is the false master, and then, you know, this is symbolically understood, you know, as Satanism, or as Satan in you know, different religious studies, relatively speaking. So that's kind of what's happening. We're going to be rebelling against the tyrannical system, and then rebelling against the egoic, self-serving nature that isn't connected with God, with the divine.
Right. So the idea of this evil being, or this side of evil, does have a manifestation in. Does have manifestation in a lot of like religions, a lot of like world like views and stuff. There's this idea of the evil, like there's pure evil that's like against, you know, like you have like good and evil. That idea in the Torah, and I'd love to hear from everybody here, like what they think. But I think that idea that we have like the evil, we have the idea of the evil inclination, and we have the idea of the good inclination, but we don't, right? It's interesting. I think that like we could like maybe like elevate it, you know, like, and I know that I'm not saying anything controversial here with you, because I know like you agree, you know, that like we could like elevate. I don't know, actually. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So what you might be hinting at is Neoplatonic philosophy, which is non-perfection, imperfection. That's what's considered evil, and that's whatever isn't connected with the divine. So when Ein Sof broke apart and then into lesser matter, that's the less perfection, and when not realizing your wholeness, your divinity, your enlightenment, your illumination, samadhi, all those terminologies, that's the imperfected state. And then you just study the Garden of Eden and read Genesis, and it teaches you in very straightforward way, if you have the eyes for it, of how eating the intellectual wisdom, eating the fruit, and then you drop into the intellect, it develops the ego, and then that puts the split in your psyche. That might be roughly what you're discussing. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I was thinking that like this idea of this evil, like how do you, what I was saying that like it's not about destroying it, but it's about like growing with it. I'll tell you a little bit of like where I'm thinking. Last week we were talking about this concept of the Erev Rav, of this group that joined the Jewish people, or not Jewish people, joined the Israelites, because Jewish is only one tribe, it's the tribe of Judah, and a little bit of Benjamin, and a little bit of Levi. But when I try to talk about like historical processes, I try not to like leave out all of the Israelites. It's a kind of like an issue in the Jewish world right now. I don't know if you're aware of like of this.
And part of the end time prophecies is that the missing tribes of Israel would return, and that would be a sign for foreshadowing the redemption of Israel and the world.
Yeah, we go. That's what we'll talk about next. The 10 tribes. Do we have sources? Harry, do you have sources for that? You must have some sources.
I have millions of source sheets. Yeah.
Right, if you find us something, we'll talk. 10 tribes.
The next topics have to be 10 tribes, and the Or HaGanuz is the hidden light that we had.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the 10 tribes. We have this this idea of the 10 tribes. Why did it? Right, because the Israelites. I got distracted by my own word. So the Israelites were. What was I going to say? Sometimes with like stuff like that. I was going to bring a. All right, we're talking about the Erev Rav that left with the Israelites, and they came from Egypt. We call them the mixed multitudes. We were talking about who they were, and what their idea was, right? And so like if like there's this idea they're coming out of Egypt, and we saw that the Torah, the Bible, kind of puts a little bit of blame on the Erev Rav, like when we messed up, when the Israelites messed up, they like the Torah like says like it was the Mefarshim say the ones that explain is it wasn't us, but like the Erev Rav Vayatez Libam, that like the Erev Rav their idea is that they swayed our hearts, and so we were thinking that if this Erev Rav, first we were very clear last week. We were saying that we're not identifying the Erev Rav with any race or any person. We're identifying it with like a movement. Just like when we're talking about the days of Messiah, we're talking about a movement. So we were talking about this movement, and so I was thinking about maybe drawing the connection between the Erev Rav and this shadow government. But like before I did that, right, I had to have proof. We can't say anything without having a proof. I'm going to send you guys a very interesting source. When I say proof, I'm saying like things that like we are talking about, we are debating, we are talking about. This is a base measures. We are studying the Torah, and so we are trying to figure it out. Now, there's a story of the of the golden calf. Did you ever hear that story of the golden calf?
Yeah, I have.
So, so by the story of the golden calf, they actually
use magic to make it.
Right. It says that the Rashi explains that it says shichet amecha. It says here. I'm going to send you guys a source sheet, and then open it up and you can see like the sources in English and in Hebrew. This is the source sheet of like the Erev Rav. Oh, I call this year back through the system with the riff raff again. Because the Erev Rav is called the Asuf Saf, which is riff raff, and it's cool that Jay-Z, that's a Jay-Z lyric, and I love Jay-Z, but he says back through the system with the riff raff again, so I want this to that shell. But it's also interesting that Jay-Z is like famously like in the Illuminati, and he uses the word riff raff, which is the same word that the Bible uses to explain.
That's a fascinating connection right there.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that to light.
Yeah. So it says that in Numbers. Oh, by the way, you can see it in English if you press the Aleph Ayin thing in the corner, in the right corner. It's under the lyrics of Jay-Z. Right? The only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get the clapping, and he and his boys going to be yapping to the captain, and there I go trapping the Kit Kat again, back to the system with the rip rap again, fiends on the floor, scratching again, paparazzis with their cameras, snapping them. So under that source, we see in Exodus 32:7, says, God said to Moses, go down because your nation that we brought up from Egypt, that were destroyed, were shiches, they're acting ruinous. They say basely, acted basely here in the Taich. Okay, acted ruinously, right? So Rashi says they become corrupted, right? He says it doesn't say the nations is your nation, the Erev Rav, that you caught them, and they said, and you said that it was good that they would come with us to the Shekhinah, and they were the ones who corrupted themselves and they corrupted others. We see that it says it was the B'kitzei Amachaneh. It calls them in Numbers 11:4. It says the Asuf Saf, and it says in the translation. Sorry, little bug. I got mad mosquitoes here. I try not to kill them, but sometimes I do.
They have Dean Rodave on them.
I know they have a Din Rodave. That means that like they're killers. But you're right. You're right. But I just wanted to make clear that I don't go around killing any animal. Like I killed a mosquito because like I don't know what's going on with mosquitoes. They could have diseases, and so it's like a life thing. But I do not condone the killing of animals. Vegetarianism is another sugya that I'm working on. I am not a vegetarian, just so you know. But all power to them, and they are the leaders of this thing which I aspire to. Okay.
Amen.
Right? So it says that the Asuf Saf, the riffraff in their midst, fell to a gluttonous craving, and then the Israelites wept and said, if only we had meat to eat. Right? If only we had meat to eat. And so Rashi, who's also a medieval, he says he calls them the throng, not the riffraff. But again, these are just translations. Like they're both good. Like these people, this Erev Rav, they were the ones who swayed the Israelites. Now, if Israelites, right? If Israelites these are the people, these are the monotheists. These became, right? The Christians came. The Christians are our cousins and our brothers, and and Islam and all religions are in this with us together, are it's not right. Like this case is the Arab and the Israelites, but Gog and Magog spans religion. This war of Gog and Magog, which is going to be right to come together with that elevated consciousness, to come together and to be okay. Fine, we have different religions, and everyone's searching, everyone's finding it themselves. Everyone's like finding their relationship with spirituality, and that's healthy. But this Gog and Magog is Erev Rav, right? If they are indeed the Gog and Magog, and they would work well with what we were saying, that their entire identity was to sway the minds of others, because that's what I believe, and we believe, and we're proposing that is going on with this, with the media, with Hollywood, and especially with this, the way that like they have everyone scared, and the way that like they have people afraid, and that's their idea. They say, oh, if only we were back in Egypt, we would be able to have those leaks that we had, right? Like if only we were in Egypt, we would be able to have those leeks and those and the zucchini, and we would be able to have meat. You know, who should give us meat? And they were the ones that were swaying. And so if that's the case, then and so to make that case, that would be interesting. That would fit if these Erev Rav people were a movement, right? They were a movement, right? Just like they were a movement against the people that were trying to elevate the world, trying to come together, and they're coming against this movement, and they're swaying our thoughts. And so one thing that I thought was extremely interesting, I think I realized it after Shir yesterday, was that they were the ones who did so they swayed us with the complaints also. They were the ones who were accused of swaying. Before I go on, does anyone else have something to add? Vesuvius, do you have something, any idea about these Erev Rav things? Any thoughts about them?
Not in particular at the moment.
Not in particular. You're not like convinced yet. Not convinced. I'm not trying to convince you, but I'm trying to show you something cool.
Well, do you want to go tell him kind of my perspective on it?
Yeah,
Like
Harry,
we see Arab Rav people leave. They leave with them. Hold on, I'm gonna actually put my camera on for this one. So the Arab Rav leaves with the people of Israel, and then all of a sudden we're like, all right, these are the Egyptian magicians. These are guys practicing Egyptian magic, and then all of a sudden today you see, like you were mentioning, Jesuit and stuff. A lot of these Masonic hybrid Christian organizations are still filled with Egyptian symbolism and ancient Egyptian practices. So it's like if we're warned that an ancient cult will still survive and be alive in the future, and we see it back then and we see it now, then we can kind of connect the dots to say, hey, this school of ancient Egyptian thought never left the world.
Right.
That's just my take on it.
So yeah. So Harry. Right. Ben. Like, yeah. So I'm just looking for these sources. I did not like figure out like what I was gonna do and share today. Like the idea, I didn't really have like a set idea. I was trying to let the conversation flow. So there's this idea of in the Chet HaEgel, when they did this idea that Harry's talking about the Masonics, about the sorcerers. There is the pasuk in Parshas Kitisa in Exodus, which it says "Va'akumu litzachei." I'm just looking for the source, and I don't think that I brought it. I just know it. It's in Exodus. I could find it.
Knowing it's fair enough.
What?
You could just know it for now.
Oh, I found it. It's in Exodus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I could just know it. So he says that Boy Mechashvei Erev Rav, right? It's a Rashi in Shemos in 32, in Exodus 32, 4. in Exodus 32:4, it says that. So you guys see how I'll said that they made the egel, and they say this is your God, Elohei Yisrael. This is your God. So he told Israel that this is your God. I sent it to the group.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you got it in the book. Yo, I could also do that. Like, see it here. It's a good move. If everyone has the Shemos, they could Exodus. So you see. So read it for us. Read it for us, Percival, if you have it. 32:4.
32:4 says, and he received them at their hand and fashioned it with a graving tool. After he had made it a molten calf, and they said, these be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Right. So it says, these be thy gods. This is talking about when they were making the egel, right? So Rashi says, right, when they're making the calf, when we're making the golden calf. So Rashi says that the mekatrege erevrav by egel masecha in the words egel masecha. You guys see those
Interesting.
words?
He uses the lashon makatrig, because makatrig is used to describe like Satan or the accusing force from the time of Adam and Eve.
Where does it say mekatreg?
You said makatrig, and you just used that word.
Me?
The Erev was, yeah, that's what you just said.
Oh, yeah, mekatreg. It comes from the kitrug. Yeah, but I just used that word in yeshivish.
Oh.
We see a Rashi over here. He says the molten calf. Says I'm going to send you guys the thing, the sources. Ooh. Hold on, it's okay. I got this, yo. I got this. Ooh. Not easy, not so easy to use this, but I got this. Egel Masecha. He says he sent it in. It says the magicians of Egypt were the ones who brought it. And he explains the way that it was brought. Here, I'm sending it to you guys. It says type messages here. Oh, did I not figure out how to do this? Okay, hold on. Copy. Paste. Oh, maybe it's too big. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna read. You know what? Let me screen share this, and then you can just see what I'm looking at. Share screen. Okay, desktop. Okay, share. Okay, now you guys see my screen. All right, check this out, yo. By the way,
awesome.
Oh, thanks, bro. Dimel indicates where the upside down cross. I think that it was photoshopped, but whatever. I do think that she's very suspicious, but I think
Definitely
that
not photoshopped.
You don't think it was photoshopped? Okay.
No way.
Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think that they're mad suspicious, and like I think that they think we have to be researching them. But I just because that was up my thing. I'm looking at my like what you guys see. I'm like, yo, is there any porn up here? Just kidding. All right, Steigen, duh. Egel Masecha. What?
That happened
so
to the professor. He got fired.
I know, dude. It happened to the professor. It said busty college students, and he was in college.
Horrible.
So, I mean, it's a huge sugya. Jews, and especially the religious Jews, have a lot to say about, masturbation and pornography. We're not going to touch it. We'll just say that it might not be the best thing for the SUPERCHILL. Which, but right, well, we're staggered here. People are, free
Everyone has to find their own path to truth. But there's also
okay, fine. We're going back there. We're going back
science and all that too.
And there's a science and brain. People talking about it like that, and from that aspect, and people talking about it from the right, like from a cognitive aspect. There is what to be spoken about, but that's not for now. But maybe it's for after we see this Rashi. You guys see my pointer? Ego Masecha?
Yep.
Okay. Ego Masecha. Kevan sheishlichu laor bechor, right? They do it into the or bechor. Very interesting with the or bechor. They call it the melting pot, a core or bechor, the fire in the furnace, right? Bo mechashve erev Rav, the magicians of the Erev Rav, sha'alu imayim mitzrayim, they came up from him from Egypt. V'asau b'chshavim, and they made it with their magic. Okay, and then the rest. These over Mika Hayasham, like whatever, like they say that that Mika was there, which like some guy from a long time ago, from like way after that he was there, and he was in that they used him. Actually, fine, we'll read it because it's interesting. Even though I don't really understand that this guy who lived hundreds of years later, Mika, who also built the calf, Mika was there. There was child sacrifice. What did they do? They took the Jews, or the Israelites, babies, and they put them into the buildings. They would say, "Oh, because we want them to go to. You don't have enough." First, it started like just help us work. Then it was, "Oh, go get your own straw." And then it was, "Oh, like you can't get your own straw because like there's no more straw." And they took these babies and they threw them into the wall, according to this narrative, to this medrash. And so he took one of them out, right? And he had in his hand this cloth, this name, right? Shem Vitas. This in his hand this cloth, this card, and it was written, and Moses wrote on it. It says, "Alei shore, go up, shore, go up ox," which by the way is related to Joseph because Joseph was Bechor shore, and it's also interesting that Rashi says Leor Bechor. That's like right to bring up the Aaron of Yosef, the Aaron of Joseph from the Nile, right? And Ishlichu the Torah Kor v'Yetza Egel, and so he brought it out. But they said, "Ele Elohecha Yisrael," these are your gods. So Rashi says, it doesn't say these are our God, right? If it was Aaron who was saying this, then it would say these are our God. He says, Elohecha, these are your gods. Kevan she'erev Rav, right? Mikan she'erev Rav sha'alam Mitzrayim. And there was the Erev Rav that caused Abraham, that caused the Jewish people or the Israelites to do this, which I said in previous classes, and I still believe it, that it seems like a person should be taking responsibility for himself, but in the end of the day, it's interesting that this group has been associated with the ones that forced, right, that swayed the hearts of the Israelites. And it's also interesting, and I don't know where this verse is, guys, but it says "V'yakumu litzachek." Oh, you guys are watching my thing. Okay, so let me search for the word lit. Well, I'm searching for the word. Any thoughts from the gallery about this? About like that was what they were doing. That was what they were swaying. Do you think that that's like an interesting point to connect this movement of Erev Rav with the movement of trying to sway the hearts of the people?
Yeah, because think about it. The business model of the Erev Rav is to be it's like a top-down pyramid model. You have the pharaoh, then the priests, and it goes to the people. So you got to have an order of fear to keep people meshubad, like enslaved within how you want your society to be structured. So they're Erev Rav was all right, we got to be the new Moses. We got to go get a pharaoh. We got to create the pyramid structure again. We need all the people to be in fear. So let's sway their hearts. Let's cause them to bug out, and we'll be the solution they need, and it'll ensure our power. That's how they think.
All right. So, okay, yeah.
I want to add something.
Yeah. What's up?
I study communications at IDC in Herzliya.
Nice.
We learn a lot about media manipulation and how it affects culture and society as a whole. And so there's definitely a lot of similarities between that and what the Arab did in the desert.
right,
So,
of like communications of like, and
mass-
that,
that kind of stuff.
right. What about you, V? Still like not convinced about that, like this might be a reference to the shadow government. And Rabbi Harry brought in Illuminati and like all these ideas, which we said like.
Well, I brought in a Jewish family that changed their name to an Egyptian name, you know. And
Right,
they were
Rothschild. By the way, with
that
the
shield is an
Rothschild,
Egyptian
right?
symbol.
With the Rothschilds, that they started. And I want to research this more, but they started around the time of the French Revolution. They kind of backed that war with Napoleon, and
They had the pigeons. You know about the pigeons?
They had the guard goose, yo.
No, they made all their money because they had a pigeon messaging system where they're able to send messages with their pigeons to like different banks, like a much higher rate of information transfer than anyone else. So when wars were won or lost, they were able to move money much faster than everyone to like win it, you know. So
Yeah,
that's how they did it.
So fine, but what? What'd you say?
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if like okay, so thus far we saw some attributes of this shadowy organization or group of people that, and we've seen like what they're like. So we've spoken about a little bit what their idea is of censoring would be a way of it, propaganda, right? Of trying to convince us to be a certain way. We saw that there was a tribe that left Egypt, and then Harry's like, oh, Egypt, maybe like these groups which are connected to the Egyptian, idea, of the Egyptian like tradition, and they have like all these Egyptian symbolism. So I was like, well, maybe like the fact that they came out of Egypt, maybe that's like a point that connects them. And we said the fact that they sway and that their idea is swaying. I wanted to show you guys this verse. See where I'm pointing? After they did the whole Egel thing, they got up the next day. They brought offerings and korbanos. They got down to eat, right? They sat down to eat, and they drank. And they got up to play. And then rose to dance. Yeah, okay, let's rose to dance. Well, let's see what Rashi says. That's why I don't do the English. Because this English has an agenda, and their agenda is what's being taught. But we're looking at the Torah with new eyes. We're looking at the Torah with the eyes of the SUPERCHILL. We're looking at the Torah with the eyes of elevating world consciousness and getting this shiabud malchuyos off of us. And then rose to dance. Okay, let's see what Rashi says. And I love Sabaria, and I love my sister who works there. Zog Rashi. So first, very interesting. Vayashkimu, they got up early. It says Hasadan Zerzim Kadesh Yechetu. It says Satan caused them, and I know that B was talking about Satan and saying that Satan was part of it. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure because like Satan, I'm not sure about it. Zogt Rashi over here, Satan. It's my first time connecting this Rashi. So like, and it was because of you guys. So thank you for and this is really how we're gonna get to the truth. We're all about getting to the truth, right? We're just trying to figure this out. And so first of all, Satan is talked about. The Son got them in order to sin. Okay, very interesting. The Jewish idea of Satan is something that we definitely gotta analyze. Talk about the idea of the Satan, because does the Satan exist? Like, what's his idea? Trying to figure that out. It's something interesting, but it's not for now. Next Rashi, litzachek. He says, Yesh b'mashma hazeh giloi arayos. It is in this implication when it says litzachek, it's talking about illicit sexual relations. Which remember I talked about like that, like we're not going to talk about masturbation yet, but like it's actually because I had a feeling that like I was going to bring this out, and because at that point I knew I was like, oh yeah, that I was going to bring this out, so we'll be able to talk a little bit about sex and stuff. Commotion Emar litzachek B, right? Okay, it's a pasuk, it's a verse. And I'll show you guys the thing in English. First, we see in Hebrew. V'shvichas dam says, and also murder. Shvichas dam is spilling of blood. K'moshe nemar, and they bring this pasuk. Ve'kumu na'arim ve'sachagu lefanenu, and they played before us. Talking about war games, right? Av kein nerag chor is also chor. We know that chor died, and what we have here is the greatest exegete in the history of the world to explain what is going on in the Bible and to explain from sources in the Talmud. We can see where that Rashi comes from in the Talmud in a second. But let me put it in English just so everyone can see. To play, right? Idolatry, also sexual immorality. He connects them both. Idolatry. Where does it talk about idolatry? It talks about war, right? Shvichas dam and bloodshed. Nowhere besides idolatry, because of course there was idolatry, because also there was like the worshiping of idols, but that is not what the thing says. I have a problem with the English translation. What it says is that there was Gilei Rayos and Shvichas Damim. Also there was idolatry, but that's right. It says Yesh b'mashma hazeh Gilei Rayos. It doesn't say also idolatry and also illicit sexual stuff and also murder. Rashi lists two things. There was Gilei Rayos, there was illicit sexual stuff going on, and there was murder, which is the spilling of blood. That is a description of a blood orgy. If I've ever heard one, that's a description of what is and they say idolatry also of Molech, right? Of what these societies, the Illuminati, and like all these secret societies. We know there are weird things going on. We spoke last week about the possibility. We talked about blood. We spoke about adrenochrome. That what they would do is that they would get the kids' adrenaline way up by scaring them with masks, and then they would have their way with them, and they would finish, and then they would slit their necks and drink their blood, and their blood contained a higher level of adrenaline. It's a drug called adrenochrome. All of these things we're just learning about. But right now we have a source in our ancient texts which talks about blood orgies. And I want to know if V or any of you guys have anything to say about that. Any ideas?
They're still doing that stuff today.
Yeah, they're still having those rituals today.
They're still having those rituals today. So if that's the case, and that's pretty crazy. Oh no, my adorable daughter, my adorable niece is on the thing, and you know, all right. I mean, like, it's amazing for everyone, but like, I don't know, like, I bought her that hat. It was made. It's a Jew rag. I had another Makor, I had another source, but like, I don't know where it is. It's like packed away somewhere. But I had over here. Yeah, I was looking through some things. Now I wanna. So fine. So we agree that there is something weird going on. They might be connected to the Erev Rav, and it might be connected to all these secret societies. We saw that the Torah actually speaks about blood orgies 1,000 years ago. It speaks about these people having blood orgies and their idea of it, and their swaying is going on. Now, does what's going on today have anything to do with this shadow government? That's like an idea that I just want to put out there, because we should be allowed, especially when we don't have another, like a conspiracy theory is, oh, I understand how like the government works, everything works well, and everything makes sense, but some guy's coming in like a roundabout theory that like, explains it, and then we can say that, listen, we already have an explanation. Occam's razor, you're out of here with that crazy theory, because we understand how everything's going. But in time when no one knows how coronavirus started, no one knows what's going on, every theory is back on the table. Every theory is back on the table. And so I've just been trying to figure this out. And people are trying to figure this out off They're shutting us down. They're trying to control the narrative of YouTube. So figuring this out, is part of the resistance. So I got this thing in Yiddish, but first I wanted to ask V, Vesuvius, on thoughts so far.
Yeah, so I mean, the Jesuit order is enacting its plans, particularly through the United Nations, which it has complete control over, so that it can have the max effectiveness through the different governments. The COVID-19 has been a complete psyops. I mean, this is even going into the mask. I just finished recording media on it. I'll be publishing it today or tomorrow.
Nice.
It's just a form of silence, but there's plenty of predictive programming if you go into different things. Like the Simpsons is, the most famous predictive programming that they show of, hey, this is what we're going to do, basically programming in your brain, and it kind of familiarizes people with it on a subconscious level, so they don't understand. They kind of just accept it more, as weird as that may sound.
Right.
But the COVID-19 isn't actually that bad of an epidemic as far as disease goes.
Right.
It's all part of their control dynamic. It's so also that China will become the world's leading economic powerhouse, and China is I forgot who it was by, of one of the elitists, but he one of these elitists has specifically said that China is basically the example model of what they want the new global order to be. And so with COVID-19, the global lockdown, they're shifting people's psychology. They're making different plays so that so certain economies tank. The United States is definitely one of them that's going to be hit really hard. So yeah, it's all just power moves essentially.
Yeah. So something's going on. Now I have shied away from taking a stance on what exactly is going on, But you're saying that it was China, and that would actually, you're saying that definitely China and America is involved. I'm thinking that maybe there's something but something's China and America. China's definitely involved. And I want to show you something cool. Let me reshare my screen. Something that I noted that I found out, I randomly figured this out, bro. I was watching a bunch of videos, right? And I realized that there was this. I don't play videos because sometimes they right. But there was seventh military world games. Every year there's military world games. Or this was the seventh one, and Jeff Van Gundy coached the USA team to a silver medal. And we have these military world games, and every year they're held in a different place. It's kind of like the Olympics. I don't know if it's every year, every 4 years, whatever. In 2019, the 7th military world games was held in October. Where were they held, Rabosai? Where were they held? You have any guesses?
China.
Not just China. Wuhan, China. All of the militaries in all of the world were in Wuhan, China as coronavirus. Right at the time that coronavirus, people started hearing about it. Maybe you heard about it a little bit after, but we know from the American senators who had insider information that we knew about it for about a month before. So I'm just saying that is an unbelievable factoid, And then I started looking at China. I started, right, and I've been researching this whole Corona thing and this whole COVID thing, and it got me to start thinking why they want it so much, why they want these ideas out of the zeitgeist. I gotta read you guys this Yiddish post that was found on the body in his pocket of a Haredi guy who died. It says the Chevra Chadisha, right? It says din gestraben or ich gestraben or din gestraben. I died von Hunger, from hunger, nicht von Corona, not from Corona. He wrote that.
Wow.
He's in the hospital, and as an act of last stand, he knows that like something's going on. He said, what do I have to tell them? I can tell the world one thing. It was not Corona that killed me. It was hunger. And so something is going on. And so I just put random videos here. Divide and Conquer, New World Order. And my YouTube playlist on my channel, the playlist, this is my friend Zaki, by the way. I was hoping that maybe he would come on account, Osam messaged me. You guys can see that, right? I don't want people looking at all my things though, but okay, good. This is in perfect space. But he's like, are you still on? No prob, homie. Come now if you want. We steigen. Duh. Okay. So I have this playlist. Shiabud malchuyos, and I've just been figuring out. Get out of here with that. I can't have. This was his right. This was the mix of that. They knew about Corona. So this is my next point. Is that if they knew about Corona back then, look at him. There's a Corona behind him the entire video. You know, if they knew about Corona, then why was the World Health Organization, the WHO, why were they still saying at the beginning of this coronavirus? Gates is saying, watch the video. He's saying he knows how bad it's going to be. He's saying how horrible it could be. He was prepping the humans for how horrible something like this could be. But then this organization that he's the number one funder for, they say, oh, don't worry about the coronavirus. And the liberals are saying, no, like it's racist. It's racist to close the border to China. They're trying to play off racists. That was like they were trying. So I don't know. I'm thinking, are they trying to bring down Trump? Trump did say that we don't actually know what's going on. I have that video down here somewhere. He's like, we don't actually know what's going on. You know, something's going on, and we don't actually know what it is, right? And we're just trying to figure it out. And I think that the fact that they knew the time that we were, it was just starting. They knew, they had to know how dangerous this was going to be. Bill Gates spoke about it, and he's definitely a top dog over there in the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization were so wrong. And not only were they wrong, didn't they have the audacity to tell us that only the World Health Organization's narrative can get on, when we know that the World Health Organization was wrong from the beginning, and they're saying all alternative narratives have to get off? Isn't that suspicious? Isn't that at least cause for like thinking about what's going on over here? Especially because we don't know how coronavirus started. Especially because they had those military games. I don't know. This is all adding up in my eyes with the and it's connected, and from the Torah we have some indications from the Bible itself. And so I want to hear where you guys are at in the sugya, what you guys are thinking.
Well, there was a lot of stuff that happened with Wuhan in 2019 with 5G.
Yeah.
And it was also like the games, and there was something else I can't remember what it was now.
Right. 5G. I heard that. I heard also 5G. I haven't researched 5G so much, but so much of being, you know, I haven't figured out the 5G part, but I do believe that it is relevant in some way.
It fissures your DNA and causes hypoxia, which means you don't get enough oxygen. So it literally suffocates you slowly, which will kill the young and the old primarily first.
And so they could have done that and said, "Oh, we need an excuse for this. Let's blame coronavirus." And they say, "Oh, if you have this strand of RNA, then you're a carrier of corona." And they say 85% is non-symptomatic. There's absolutely nothing. And then everyone who dies is died of corona. they're puffing it up. You know, there's something suspicious, and this has to be spoken about. It has to be revealed. You know, and this is a worldwide movement because there are people, the vast majority probably of every religion and every walk of life is probably under this shiabud malchuyos, under this government oppression. And the answer is to come together. In a time when they're trying to get us apart and they're trying to make us stay in our houses, they've taken it to another degree over here of trying to keep us apart. We're all in our houses, and the fear is really. So the two elements is the fear, and it's the disunity. It's trying to break us apart. It's trying to row disunity through three ways: through religion, through politics, and through race. And they're trying to use these things as a pivot to keep us apart. So the ways to fight back the revolution is super chill, being besimcha, not letting them cause like depression and run us down. And two is to come together. Doesn't matter what religion, doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter what politics, because everyone on every side is except for like the people that are doing it, right? But there are only two groups. There's Gog and there's Magog. We have the people, and then there are gradations, right? I believe that like there is like this, like, and it could go by a lot of names, by Skull and Bones, by Bilderberg, by Illuminati, by Freemasons. They can go by Erev Rav, they could go by Satan, right? And different religions and different groups have chosen to speak about this force in different ways, sometimes mythically and sometimes not. But this force has been coming back, and V knows like a lot about like world religions. And he was telling us about in Christianity, and he was telling us about in Hinduism, and right, and we know from Hossam, who we had last time, who might have just texted me and said, like, but I can't even see, because like I don't know where I think is. Oh, he did, and he said, "Cool, I'll come in 10 minutes." Right, if we're still around in 10 minutes, you know, we're steiging here. So if this group, has done all this stuff, and we've identified this group, then and we've identified what the problems is, then the solutions are: one, super chill, happiness, Aristotelian eudaimonia, and everyone can find that Aristotelian eudaimonia in their way, with their relationship to spirituality. I found it my way. I wrote a book about it called Eudaimonia, right? And I can't find it somewhere over here, you know. It doesn't matter, you know. I have a book, Eudaimonia it's called, somewhere over here in my mess of a desk. There are other people, right? Trevor Hall says, my love is just a reminder, find your center. A lot of Eastern religions or Eastern thinkers, they've called this Shangri-La, this idea of, and some people call it the Garden of Eden, this idea of that we're chilling, and it's not because of what's going on outside, but we're chilling. And our chill is not about what they're showing us. It's not about what the movie is. We can enjoy it, right? It's not about the movies. It's not about like whatever they're trying. And we don't know who it is, but whatever this group is trying to sneak and filter into our zeitgeist in order to deliberately dumb down America, in order to psychologically mess with the world, not just America. The way to build immunity to that is the super chill, this idea that we've spoken about, that the chill is not anything external. It's not any shiabud malchuyos. Maybe shiabud malchuyos, this government control, right? We're not mishabed to the malchuyos. We're not mishabed to things that are any other thing but our own internal decision, that we like, an understanding that we are part of this infinite consciousness, and like you can call that also God, that we're part of God. Right, we're chelek Eloha, and we can say it like that. And there are other ways to say it, as we've said. Right, a satisfied mind is how Mahalia Jackson, Duke Ellington, and used to call it, right? And Bon Iver, that's right, that's what he said. It's a Duke group for Mahalia a lot. Justin Vernon. Anyways, there's a lot of different ways of talking about this idea, but the internalization of this idea, and we're still trying to figure out exactly what the ramifications are, but the internalization of this idea will be, well, that's really the immunity, not some shot that, like some vaccine that they're saying that, oh, without this vaccine, it can never go back to normal. Oh, really? It's a novel coronavirus. How do you know? Oh, he knows that without the vaccine, we need a vaccine. Like without a vaccine, that's the narrative that they're trying to push. But everyone's fine. Yeah, but without a vaccine, everyone's not going to be fine. But everyone's receiving that people are fine. And people are healing from this. Maybe antibodies would work. Maybe we don't know because the novel coronavirus. No, 18 months vaccine. Where do we know that from? Bill Gates has got to bring some sources, right? And maybe let's figure that out, right? We're still trying to figure it out. If that is the case, then the real vaccine is the internalization of this idea that the super chill does not come from anything external. It doesn't matter what they're showing us. It doesn't matter how they're trying to sway us. We're chilling and we're happy because we are part of God. We're part of this infinite consciousness. And that is the resistance. That is the resistance, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're talking about, hypnosis and the Great Awakening. There's everybody coming together and developing the super chill, the spirituality.
Yeah, the Great Awakening, the super chill. These ideas, and that's what eudaimonia. That's how Aristotle spoke about it. And we had that's the other, right? This idea of the super chill, and that would be. I think, and if all this happens, then we beat the shiabud malchuyos, the Magog or Majoj, right? The Harab, Joj or Majoj. By the way, shout out to Sam Zaki, Hossam, who just, what's going on, bro? Yo, dude, meet my friend Vesuvius Percival. He talks about the Great Awakening, and it's amazing. Like we've been discussing. We're talking a lot about what we've been speaking about. Hossam is like a stand-up comic. He's a sick writer. That's how we met. Me and Hossam met because Hossam wrote an article. If Hossam wants, he can tell us like where he's from and about his past, and we can talk about some more of these ideas. By the way, welcome, Big Time. I'll just say the way that me and Hossam met was he wrote an article about the Israeli and the Palestinian situation, and I really loved what he wrote, and so I hit him up, and then we became friends, and so similar to how me and Vesuvius became friends, picking these coming together. Nietzsche describes a state of passion through which the noble souls find each other. And everyone on this zoomshteig is a noble soul and an awakened. And so Percival calls it the Great Awakening. When I saw this, I'm like, this is it. He's talking about the revolution of consciousness, and also with Hossam. So I just thought I would say that.
Yeah, I just sent you a link to my mission statement of my brand of talking about how we are going to revolutionize global society and bring heaven on earth. So if you want to check that out, not right now, but I'm just
Yo, dude, we'll have you back another time. This is the cave, if you'd like, if you're enjoying, we'll talk. But we'd love to have you bringing a new insight into the base measures with us into the hall, the study hall. We're gonna figure this out, and we're definitely the Great Awakening. I'm all about it, bro. I'm with you, and we're finding each other through that passion, and noble souls find each other, and when we find, also we have to find for ourselves. That's come to self-awareness and to understand it for ourselves, right? And then to bring this out and to spread these forbidden ideas. It's like 1984 what's going on, that they're telling us which ideas and which ideas cannot happen. Mm-hmm. It's a dystopic future. And I always thought when I was reading those books that if ever anyone tried to pull some of that shit on me, I would fight back. You know, I would join. I would be part of the resistance, because, and this is a movement of the elevated consciousness and the new world. Because from Corona, I would say this from the very beginning. Either this could be a disaster, this could be amazing, and I think that this could be amazing, especially that we're going through tough stuff. Everyone who's been going through tough stuff.
Yeah, it's waking a lot of people up.
Yeah. And that's what it is. Sometimes you have to go through tough stuff. You know, maybe they thought that they could crush us, because like that's what they've been doing for years, right? They can invade our zeitgeist with this negativity, right?
Yeah.
And but they don't know that it's through tough times that we grow. And with that in mind, I think I would love to hear the story of how you got the name Vesuvius Percival. Through the times, guys, there's like definitely a story there, and like we'd be fascinated to hear it, if you would like to share.
Yeah, you want me to share that right now?
How long is it?
Oh, this is probably only like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, if you would feel comfortable sharing it, yo. Because remember, like with this video, I'll put it up, and like if you want, like,
it's in my book.
It's in your what?
Yeah, it's in my book. Like I wrote about it in my book.
Okay, yeah, yo. So tell us about it. We'd love to hear.
I know I'm very transparent.
Amazing, bro. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So what happened? This was about 3.5 years ago now, when I really broke through with the first conscious shock. So when you're talking about developing, the SUPERCHILL and kenosis, that stuff, union with the divine. That's when people start, becoming aware of the power of perception and spirituality. That's when you understand that you have control over your suffering and developing your oneness with all that is, all of life. So I started really getting into that. I'd been studying enlightenment and how to revolutionize the world since I was 11, and I had, my first major spiritual experience. But after about 6 months to a year, I started practicing, different rituals, studying things, figuring out what works for me to connect most with the divine. So I ended up going down with a friend to help ease her transition. She got out of rehab. I was just trying to be, a good friend with her there. And she was kind of being very standoffish, and, nothing holding that against her. And so I decided, I was going to do a lot of meditation, inner work. And part of that is doing a shamanic hike for me, where you get out of the concrete jungle, you get out of Babylon and all those frequencies that, society's putting on us to, distract us. And so I chose a mountain. This is in the middle of the desert. I chose a mountain that reached past the clouds. And I decided I was just going to hike it. It was, it wasn't any hike. It was just completely free, open land. I'm just blazing a trail. So I go up this huge mountain, and I even did like a small video of like right before I went to the very top. I mean, this took me 4 or 5 hours to scale, and I had a calling to take basically all of my clothes off besides my briefs, and I went to the very top and I meditated, and that's when Spirit like talked to me and spoke like, hey, here is your new name. You are, you're coming into your manhood, to your dharma, essentially, your divine duty. And so it was a very surreal moment. And that's when, I saw the name Vesuvius. And then so from that day forward, I went with it. I was like, okay, I'm now transitioning. This is the being who I'm meant to be. So that's basically the gist of things.
Nice. So, yo, that's really amazing, because through these times and the special things that happen in our lives, that's where I like the taking of a new name is a very like biblical concept. Like Israel got a new name. Jacob was in Israel the same person. Jacob's name was changed. Yaakov's name was changed to Yisrael. And Sarah's name was changed, and Joshua's name was changed, and it shows that person has gone through something and rose, and is now more aware of who his consciousness is, who he is, what is the way that he should be called. I think that's and it's really cool, bro. And we should all be just trying to grow, and to new levels of consciousness and new vistas. So that's just a blessing that I like to give to all you guys and to all of the world, because as we were saying, all of the differentiations, right now, all the differentiations are they're not real. They're not a real reason for strife or competition or anything. That's how we've been for a long time programmed to think.
Relatively artificial in the long scheme of things.
Right, because we're all just different. We're just different elements and expressions of consciousness, having different experiences in the world, in the life that we were born into, right? The person in the socioeconomic status, in the personality trait that was built with both nature and nurture, and now where we are, and everyone's just trying to move forward and be happy. Both all the Republicans I speak to, all the Democrats I speak to, everyone in my life, I'm talking about how we want to make the world a better place. And I think, well, then if that's the case, then why is there so much animosity?
And dividing identity politics.
We saw that that's maybe what is being foisted upon us, and unity and SUPERCHILL and awakening, right? That is the awakening to this idea, which is right now bringing all of us together, and it's gonna spread. These ideas are gonna spread because we have the truth on our side. And everyone comes to these ideas in their own way, And so I came to this through what I know, which is the Talmud and the Torah, and we'll see in different videos that come to it through it, right? See different things and just trying to put this all together. But I believe that we're onto something, and I wish us success and luck, as David Pastorwala says, I wish you way more than luck. At the end of This Is Water, he says, I wish you way more than luck. I wish us way more than luck, and I just want to iterate my love for all of humankind, for everyone.
I love you too, brother.
Yeah. Love you too.
But yeah, this is definitely, it's all going to happen. It's a when, not an if. It's simply,
Exactly.
Are you yourself, as your individual experience, are you going to show up authentically, to the best of your ability as presence and love?
So what do you think the answer is? What should we do?
What should we do?
How do we spread these ideas? You said it's going to happen eventually. The question is when. So now, one way that it could help right now, spread these ideas. There's an amazing Gemara in Daf Tzadi Ches in 98 folio A or B. Don't hold me on that, but 98 folio something. It says, we quote a verse in Isaiah, which says, Ani Hashem v'ita achishana. Yo, let me share screen this for a second. Or, you know what? I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys have it says, Ani Hashem v'ita achishana. I am God. In its time, I will hasten it. Which the Gemara asks, wait a second. Either it has a time, or there's going to be a hastening. There's God's going to hasten it. How could there be that there's a set time and that God's going to hasten it? And it's time I'll hasten it. It's a contradiction. Answers the Talmud. Now, if humanity, right? If humanity is zocha, if they merit, so if humanity merits, so then it will be hurried up. If not, as Percival said, as Vesuvius said, it's gonna happen eventually. Oh, there's a time. If we don't merit, it's gonna happen anyways, because it's gonna get like so crazy. Because Corona, do you guys think it's bad now? What's going on right now? Think about how bad it would be if Hillary Clinton was president. All right. If you guys think that Corona is bad now, think how bad it would be. It could be. Think how bad it could get. Right. Think of like how much.
If Clinton was president, we wouldn't have heard of the coronavirus to begin with.
Hillary Clinton was president. Yeah, agreed, Ben. If Hillary Clinton was president, this Corona thing would have been going way easier for them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and so it could get worse. Oh, and then once it gets really bad, and it's like obvious, like what? Okay, then maybe it can get really bad. It get 1984 like or Brave New World like, and then there'll need to be like a crazy coup. But right now we're still pretty free. Right now this is the time of Achishena. In its time I will hasten it. Right? Ani Hashem be'ita Achishena. Let me find you guys that verse. I'm gonna, but while I'm finding this verse, I'm not gonna screen share for a second. I'll find the verse. I'll send it to you. While I'm finding this verse, Rabbi Harry, excuse me, Rabbi Harry, you got any thoughts? Or we were just joined by Hossam. But
definitely, we are in a very auspicious time right now. That's for sure.
Right, and Hossam, you have any like thoughts about this stuff that you want to share with the world? Because the world, right? Because like you're like, yo, but Herenstein, you get like no views, and I'm saying that's because I'm not like savvy with that stuff because I don't care. We're teaching this, we're getting this out to the world. This video could be viewed by 10 people, could be viewed by 100 people, could be viewed by 1 million people. What do you want to say to the world, bro?
Well,
about this? No, I'm kidding. It's probably going to be seen by somewhere between 5 and 8 people.
Well, you know my views about Corona and whatnot. Like, I'm very contrarian to you. Like, I'm very contrarian to you. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think it's, I don't think it's an covert plan to achieve a goal. I think just humans are very impressionable, and they're probably just. What is that?
This is the book that teaches you the difference between accidental history and conspiratorial version of history. The guy put about 300 different books into this one. I highly recommend it. It's called The Unseen Hand. The Unseen Hand.
Okay, but listen, we're trying to figure it out, and so we respect that view, of course, and. Like we're just, you don't think it's a little weird? You missed tonight's class, right? You missed that we saw that the World Military Games 7th annual was in Wuhan, China, October of 2019, and no one's spoken about this. But all of the military heads in all of the world were in Wuhan, China as this was released. Cause for concern or suspicion? Maybe. All we're saying, we're bleiben schwer. Right? That's what I'm saying, is that we're not saying anything for sure because we don't know for sure. And to make a claim, that's why like a lot of these conspiracy theories get very easily debunked because the people don't know how to say I don't know. And so they come up with all these theories and they end up with lizard people, which I don't know, lizard people maybe yes, maybe no. But they come up with these theories that they cannot base on text or video. And so then like people say, okay, it's not a serious theory. So over here we're in the base measures, we're learning the sugya. That's why we're coming off of the Gemaras. Anything that I'm saying, I have sources that say that, yo, this could be what the Bible is actually saying. What the Israelite exegesis were actually saying. And so, but we're just saying, like, maybe. We're trying to open up some minds to this revolution of consciousness. Like, because me and you have spoken about the revolution of consciousness.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not, again, to clarify, I'm not debunking anything, right? It's just what I believe that it's not a big enough catalyst to bring about the change that you're envisioning. I don't think this is it. I don't think it's the corona.
Well, the corona could be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because we're looking back and we're looking at the Gulf War and we see President H.W. Clinton, George H.W. Clinton, making like all this fake news and having this girl actress testify that the Iranians or the Iraqis rather are killing babies for like taking babies out of incubators, and it's been proven false. And that's what they're doing. They're taking these babies out of ventilators. And like we're seeing that at 9/11, we saw the JFK spoke about this. I'm saying that there's a lot of dots, and it's not going to be corona. The corona is the straw that's going to wake people up. And they misplayed their hand this time with corona, because now their perfidy is out in the open, that they're kicking every other idea, any idea which is against their narrative that they're feeding us with COVID, which is a bunch of other problems also. All of that is reason enough to be at least suspicious, and we're not, right? We're just trying to figure it out.
When you say wake people up, are you talking about a spiritual awakening? Is that what you're talking about?
So
wake people up to what?
So to wake people up, it could have a few meanings. We talk about waking up. I was using it there as waking people up to what's going on around them. What Vesuvius, he has the awakening, the Great Awakening. He talks about the Great Awakening. I believe that he's talking about this awakening of consciousness that is like on a high level of consciousness that we understand. So I think that it's like pretty synonymous with the super-chill. That like this idea that like we are
broken down into three different sections. So first off, you have the greatest work that you can do on the personal level, which is the awakening of your consciousness, developing your power of perception. You know, that's all about the divine and getting the super chill, as our friend here puts it. The second part of the awakening is understanding the actual pandemics and what's going down on here. You know, slavery is at an all-time high, pollution, all those, you know, things that are plaguing us, genuinely causing disease and psychological distress. And then the third is exposing corruption and understanding the mechanics of how that's all been working through the course of history and how it's now impacting us on our current day-to-day basis. So like wakening up to all three of those points to start just having complete awareness so that people will start caring and get out of the egocentric, you know, daily perspective that they have.
Okay.
That's really nice. I think that it's all one, right? I think that the elevation of our consciousness will be at, and avivite is a very yeshivish word that I'm going to use now. Avivite, in as much as we are successful in throwing this shiabud malchuyos, the shadow government, off of us, even on a personal level, just not being like influenced by things that are extra, right? But by understanding our greatest avivite, that we do that. In as much as we do that, like their power will be weakened, because their power is in as much as they can control us, I believe. But we're still trying to figure this out. Ben Fryer, would you bless us, or bless us with what you're going to say? I'm saying, not bless us, like with your ideas.
Come back to me.
Come back to you. You're still thinking it over?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I've tried to talk about these ideas with my dad in the past, and he doesn't. He's like also like on like he has his views also. If he wants if he's still around, maybe I just like if I went to like go get some food. But if he wants, like he could tell us like that he doesn't believe in this stuff. But if he's going to tell us he doesn't believe in this stuff, he has to be ready to explain to us what he does think happened with Corona. And that's why I think Corona is where they slipped up, because they don't have a good explanation for how this got started. And so now all theories are in the realm of possibility. and I'm willing. Everything's back on the table. How did this Corona thing start? It's very. We still don't know. No one knows. You know.
We gotta believe that if at this point, if it was deliberate, it was done by China. And my assumption, like what I would think is like the most likely, at least from my perspective, is that the Chinese government released Corona in order to cover up the flaws of their 5G network that was causing damage to a lot of people. Because you see videos from late 2019, early 2020 of young people walking on the street in China and just dropping.
Really?
That's like not coronavirus, you know, like that's not anything they talk about with COVID-19 or any of that stuff.
That's interesting. So you're like 5G is a big part of like your understanding of what's going on right now. Like in your zeitgeist.
It's a viable theory for sure.
Survival theory, yeah. And like, yeah, I hear it. Like I could hear the 5G thing. And listen, we're all just trying to figure this out.
Using the quarantine to set up 5G in every major city without us knowing. Like in Miami,
I heard that also.
Towers, I was driving around Miami the other day. I just see 5G towers lined up down the street like every 50.
Wow. Wait, hon, you're in Miami or
they're
you're in
They're
Herzliya?
still building them.
I'm currently.
They're considered essential still.
Yeah.
Yo.
I'm currently in Florida. I'm coming back to Israel in the next week or two.
Oh man. Yeah, V, what's up? Did you raise your hand?
Oh, I was just saying how the 5G, workers are still considered essential, even though that they haven't proved that 5G has had any safety testing. There was a senator who asked representatives of this 5G technology, hey, have you done any actual research on safety measures? And they were like, no, we spent $0 on that. Just a little fishy.
Right, yeah.
Another reason why I am so adamant about my beliefs is that and I can't say who, but an ex-UN employee I got information from this. He talks about the actual plan that's against light workers. So that's against people who, developing the superchill, Henosis, the awakening of consciousness, that the UN actually has a plan and agenda
against us?
Targeting, yes, but it's anything that helps people connect with spirit, the divine God, anything like that. They want it destroyed because that gets people their power back. And if the people have the power, then they lose theirs.
Yeah, this is
like Indigo Child, it's called.
Harry, what were you saying?
Is it called like these light children, something like an Indigo Child or something like that?
Yeah, well, so a light worker would just be anybody who is, bringing about spirituality, good, positive, love, energy, Christ-like energy, compassionate, stuff like that. Indigo would just be going into different theories about like your level of consciousness as your when you incarnate here, like your degree of consciousness. There's indigo, goldens, rainbows, all that, but we don't need to get into that.
Okay, I just thought there was like a certain window of time that opened up that like unique souls like came into the world during like a unique window of time. That's what I was like trying to reference.
Yeah, so according to some New Age and also like Vedic academics, is that
also maybe Kabbalistic, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, Kabbalistic as well. Of that, due to the way of spirituality, the different ages, is that beings who are born here have different levels of consciousness, and so for humanity as a whole to progress in its next step, basically beings who are born here, they will have different levels. So certain things happen, according to the divine plan of God or the divine, whatever you want to call it.
And they have like a hard time dealing with this world also because they're just like fine-tuned for the next world, for like this light world, but they're like they came a little early to help like transition.
Yes, to bring about revolution, essentially, yeah.
These indigo
and this
children.
world sickens them, like this materialistic world.
These indigo children, what's their Indian? Like where do we know about them from?
It was like 1980 something.
How are they relevant?
1980 something till 1990 something. There was like a window of time or something where these light beings like came into the earth to help like bring the transition. There's a whole theory about it. You could read about it. It was pretty interesting because it aligned with the Vilna Gaon's timeline on like the souls that were waiting to usher in the redemption, that were waiting. They finally came down.
Interesting theory, Rabbi Harry. Interesting theory.
Just a theory.
It's cool. No, it's a theory. It's cool. I'm not even sure how that's relevant unless like we are the indigo.
People have to battle the Erev Rav unless this is the team of people that take them down.
Oh, the people that are battling the Erev Rav, we say that maybe that's Gog, and if that's Gog and Magog. So who are these indigo people? Are they around in today's day and age?
Could be you.
Yeah, it's.
No,
yeah,
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, it's a certain relatively age range of just your like as you're developing your consciousness is already at a higher state once you start becoming cognitive.
I always assessed my consciousness where I don't know if I'm not saying comparatively, but comparatively to myself, that like I've gotten like my growing of consciousness has always been through like difficult times and like struggles. And since like I went through some struggles, as people know, or if not, like whenever I check my stuff, I talk about it all the time. And like we can talk about it, it's not for now. But like I view like going through tough stuff, struggling, and that's from Hamilton immigrants. We get the job done, Like I moved to Israel. Hossam moved to Canada. Everyone's like, I don't know, where are you from, bro?
I'm in California. I'm closer to Yosemite, so like in the elbow of California, up in the Sierras.
Nice. Where are you originally from?
Sonora, California, just a small town.
Nice. So where you been?
Currently in South Florida, my parents' house. I'm going back to Israel as soon as I can.
Yeah, people are itching. A lot of Jews
I'm able to go back now because I have a student visa.
Your student visa, nice. A lot of like people got a lot of like Jews that like they're getting stuck, or Israelites getting
I've
stuck
been in America for the last 2 months, man. It sucks.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Airports are open.
What?
Are airports open?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Israel, so you want to come back to Israel? Yeah, I hear that, bro. I'm like thankful every day that I'm here. Speaking of Israel, like they are also in this like thing, like the Erev Rav, right? We're talking about the Erev Rav. Now Moses wanted to bring them in, right? God's like, I don't know, these people are a little wild. Moses like bringing them in, and then we saw that Solomon built his temple with Hiram, who might have been an early predecessor of the Freemasons, like the builders, they built the temple. Like we're still working on that. We're still figuring that stuff out. I gotta figure out Hiram and Hiram, but we seem to keep on bringing these like forces like in, like it's not about like coming against them. I mean, both David Icke and Alex Jones, saying that I'm coming for you. And I myself in the class, like maybe like a few weeks ago, I was like, yo, we're coming for you. Maybe even said it today, like, yo, we're coming for these people. We're coming for the shiabud malchuyos. I want to change my approach a little bit, which is that I'm not coming to get them, but to elevate them, to have an elevation of consciousness, like just like us, like it's gonna be a worldwide thing. And so they also will see the errors of their way. The errors, like I don't know. I'm still just saying, like Moses and Solomon, which are two homies, they bring these forces in they bring them into the bring them into the fold. I don't know. Just trying to figure it out. But we should never forget love and unity and happiness and super chill and satisfied mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what your base philosophy is going towards is exposure of the corruption and evil, not necessarily, to destroy these people, but that they'll naturally dissolve as more beings,
Right.
wake up. and go,
Exactly,
no, like
exactly.
we're demanding our solutions.
Right, like this is
We
not
as the
okay with
collective,
us anymore.
this is over with. You're being exposed, and so naturally it'll have to go away. I mean, the other option is just a full bloody war, which I don't. Hopefully, it doesn't have to happen.
Hopefully it doesn't have to happen. No one wants it. No one wants it, but we know that, like, so another thing which like brought me onto this whole thing is that Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. He had way too much to lose. It's so obvious. So many suspicious things about it. We don't know who killed him, but he did not kill himself. Bill Gates' best friend was Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, or they met 6 times on his plane. Suspicious. We don't know who it was, but he did not commit suicide. And he knew too many powerful people. So there's something going on.
His account recently transferred some money over to another place, only like a couple months ago. Oh yeah, I still think he's alive.
Wow. He didn't commit suicide, that's for sure. All of it, and so that's part of the sugya. That's part of it. So now we have also the Clintons, as like we know that they chilled with Jeffrey Epstein also. We know that Bill Gates chilled with Jeffrey. We know we're still figuring it out. We're still figuring it out, and that's like the most important thing to know is that we are not proposing any theories, and definitely with not anything dangerous intent, because they say, oh, it's dangerous to talk about this stuff. And I challenge them. Explain if someone from YouTube could explain why it's dangerous to have like a discussion about this stuff, and why things that talk about stuff. I'm still not big enough to be like noticed on the radar, but why things like this are feared. Explain it.
They live in a fear paradigm, and so in that functionality, they don't talk about he who must not be named. It's like Harry Potter and Voldemort, right?
Yo, do you know that also that was the way that it was by Mao Zedong? That like they couldn't mention his name. They couldn't mention his the Chinese like growing up. Like I have a friend who's like around our age who grew up in China, and like she like wasn't allowed to say that word. It was like a literal Voldemort of like who they're most afraid of. And guess, by the way, just a quick tangent about for my kikes over here, for you guys also to understand us, right? But in the Jewish world, in the Orthodox Jewish world, you cannot say God's name. Not only can you not say God's name, the Tetragrammaton, but any of his nicknames you can't say. And we call him Hashem, the name. You see, like the thing that you're most afraid of is what you cannot say. Oh, you can't say Voldemort, you can't say Mao Zedong, you can't say shadow government in polite society nowadays. People will think you're a kook. And you can't say Hashem's, you can't say God's name in Orthodox Judaism. And I saw that, and I was like, yo, there's so much fear. I mean, I spoke about, my whole thing's about how there shouldn't be fear. Like by my book, I talk about how the fear in Judaism, like I talk about like the difficulties in that. Judaimonia, which is trying to bring out the idea that in the Torah and in the Israelite sources, there is this path for the superchill, for being happy internally, and for not letting external things affect us or take us down. And but everyone finds it their way, and that's the idea that's diametrically opposed to what we are accusing this shadow government, the shadowy organization, of infiltrating the zeitgeist and waging psychological warfare in order to somehow gain control, keep us in our houses, force us to get vaccinated, and primarily spread this fear, the fear that I know all too well from my Haredi upbringing, my religious upbringing, my Orthodox upbringing, but we have nothing but love for anyone who is part of that upbringing, because everyone's growing. This world is a work of evolution. That's the point. This whole world is just been evolving from a single hydrogen atom, right? And it's been growing and growing. the hydrogen atom connected with another hydrogen atom, and they connected the whole cluster. Eventually, they gave me a whole sun, a hydrogen star, and then there was nuclear fusion. It went helium, and then I don't know whatever 4 is. I used to know 4, and then it kept on growing until it got to iron 26, which is actually the name of the numerical value of the tetragrammaton. And it couldn't have supernova after it got to iron. So that's what I say. It couldn't have nuclear fusion, rather. So we had called it supernova, and that caused water somehow to get to our planet. And then we started right as we had one cell organism, and then we crawled out, right? We crawled out because like we were getting eaten by bigger fish. So we crawled out and became amphibians, and then there were bigger amphibians, dinosaurs that were eating us. So we developed like these legs going very quick. We got legs, longer legs and hair outside the body, and we started giving birth to kids outside the body and breastfeeding them. And that's how we have mammary glands, mammal. And then we had long legs, we had a long tail. We were swinging around to protect us from dinosaurs. But dinosaurs left, and we eventually lost that tailbone or the tail, and we started walking upright. And somehow mankind got consciousness, whether it was eating from a fruit, as the Bible says, or eating from a psychedelic, psychoactive substance, as Terence McKenna says, or any other theory of how we got consciousness. We got consciousness, and consciousness began evolving. This is just the continuation. Consciousness began evolving, and we're worshiping the sun, we're worshiping the moon, the fire, the water, we're worshiping this, worshiping that. Comes Abraham with monotheism, and he has his philosophies, right? And monotheism is splintered off into a few different ways to practice it. Within the Israelite religion, there are a few different ways. Within Christianity, there's way more ways, and there are also different ways to do it within Islam. Speaking of the monotheistic religions, but other ways to relate to the Almighty, or to the infinite, right? Different ways to call it. And then you have the Eastern religions, which sometimes are atheists, sometimes they're polytheists, and maybe sometimes they're monotheists. I'm not an expert on that. I'm going to leave to V to teach us eventually. Maybe tonight, maybe another time. It depends like what you guys are feeling. But the idea is that all of these different belief systems, it's just part of the evolution to get to the real understanding. And the real understanding is what I think Spinoza called pantheism, and what Rav Kook called panentheism. Pantheism is that everything is God, and it's pantheism. And panentheism is that everything is inside of God, but God is infinitely more. And that's what I believe the move is, like the cognitive move, to understand this idea, to understand that we are the infinite, we are gods, right? We are God, and we can be chilling no matter what is going on around us. And that's what we want. We want the whole world of chillers. We want the whole world of chillers, and the government wants to divide and conquer. They want to turn us against each other through a myriad of ways. And so keep up the resistance, everybody. And if maybe another time, just like we've been going on for a long time, but maybe I would love to to meet again next week, and continue on the sugya. If we have ideas, if you guys send me stuff that you want to talk about, send me kivunim, send me directions where you want to take the sugya, where you want to take the topic, things that you were thinking of, ideas. We're going to start figuring out what to do with 5G because of Ben, and we're going to start figuring out other stuff. I want to get shot. I want to solve this puzzle and move towards an amazing future which awaits us.
Man, that was really well said.
Thanks, bro. All right, so we're gonna call it a steig, or yeah, we're good. Anyone have anything? Call it a steig. All right. Much love, everybody. Thanks for coming. Till next
Likewise.
So,
time. Take it peace.
Blessed rest of your day, guys.
Performance. You're like,
All right. Yeah, I'm just.
I'm saying when you do anything for 2 hours or 3 hours, that's called a performance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I couldn't do this without you guys, you know?
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Peace out, everybody. Keep on steiging the super chill. Laila Tov. Good night. Masa el khair or sabah?
Perfect.
Masa el
Yeah.
khair.
Yeah.
Masa el khair.
Later, man.
From the Megiddo Madrasa. Peace.